live in a city that has a really good hospital with some really good physicians. You're in the haves group, but let's say you're in a rural area that has very limited access to specialists. Let's say imagine you're in a country that has very limited access to even healthcare. We can democratize all that with extended reality. It allows us to be able to think about how care, the best quality, high quality, low cost care can be delivered to anyone, anywhere, at any time.
The ability for any scenario to be recreated with the donning of a headset, to place someone in an environment that either may be familiar to them or may be completely alien to them, to test them in ways or to test their expertise in ways that are not easily done in the classroom, I think is one of the main draws of this technology. The ability to recreate any environment that you should choose, I think gives the ability to assess more senior doctors as well as those that are still in training.
What we can say definitively is that they really engage with this type of learning. And we've got a lot of feedback from the students that say that they really feel that this is a really authentic learning experience, and that they get a great deal from the sessions around that process of getting from A to Z, around what's going on for a patient.
You know, one of the, for those of you that are unfamiliar with VR, I mean, you're essentially occluding. So you're basically blocking what you can see. So you have to create the entire digital universe. Now, there's positive value in that, for example, entertainment, which is amazing. And the fact that you don't have to be bothered with what's in the real world. But the moment you take something like mixed or augmented reality, you have to take the real physical world and then you blend it with the digital. In the enterprise or commercial space, that really lends itself to amazing opportunities when you think about training, education, task guidance, collaboration.
That is where I felt like there was this huge gap in simulation training that could be filled by XR. And that is, again, understanding those anatomic variables that are going to be playing a role, understanding what's going on beneath the skin, you know, when you're inserting a needle or when you're trying to perform a procedure. And then also being able to simulate a complication occurring and how you're going to respond to that. And that's where I think that extended reality is really going to lend itself to simulation training to really help enhance that in the future. And that's what we're working on a lot and spending a lot of hours and time on at the University of Michigan, because we really believe that there's a gap there that can be filled with this new technology.
The students really enjoy being able to have a skeleton and layer on different body systems depending on what they are studying, and then being able to see the real visual elements of that particular organ or that particular system, and then being able to see how they all link it together. I mean, we've had students walking through their skeletons, lying on the floor, looking underneath the skeletons, looking from behind, and going through the organs. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to find any other technology that allows the students that opportunity for learning. So the Hollow Human we use quite heavily, particularly in our year one Bachelor of Nursing program, because it links the science component that they're taught from theory and to literally visually being able to see the heart or the gallbladder or the nervous system or lymphatic system.
And one of the things that's really exciting with mixed reality is you can add elements to the situation that really enhance the learning experience. And so that's one of the things that's exciting about working with GigXR, is that your platform for developing these mixed reality assets that help with the standardized patients or virtual patients, as well as the anatomy and the ability to overlay anatomy onto an area where you can actually see things like how diseases manifest or make interventions or things to a mannequin or a virtual image that really allow the learner to understand that disease more effectively, but more importantly, develop some skills around how to take care of that or do a procedure before they actually have to do it on a real patient.
GigXR and mixed reality really came at an opportune moment. We were setting up field hospitals in the early days of the pandemic. Some of the largest field hospitals in the world. I don't know how well you know London, but we had the XL Centre in Docklands, which is huge, thousands of square meter facility, and we had hundreds of beds that had been set up as intensive care units within that building. And we were sort of thinking about, okay, how can we train the workforce? to be able to deal with patients where they'd never seen the disease before, they'd never dealt with it before. And the way to do that at scale was really to start thinking about, okay, let's buy some HoloLenses, let's put a volumetric image on there. And that's really where we worked with you with Dimension Studio with Microsoft to be able to pull this COVID-19 patient together.
Yeah, being able to see the patient, you can connect emotionally to the fact that somebody is having respiratory distress, for example. You can immediately kind of see that that person is distressed, and you recognize that. That's not always recognizable when you are trying to replicate that in a mannequin who is lying flat and looks the same as they did last week.
So I think mixed reality and having the ability to blend those things, to blend the digital world with the physical world, to allow us to make better decisions, to get to root causes of failure faster, that adds real value. To be able to track supply chains and logistics, to be able to, identify and predict, failures and everything else, like that adds value. That's the type of thing that you can put a dollar sign ahead of it, and you can decide if you're going to continue to invest in that technology or if you're going to, do something different.
You see a hologram of a patient, looks very, very lifelike. You can walk around this image, and just as a module to learn anatomy, it's interactive. You're touching the figure, you're touching the screen, and you can see layer after layer, and the 3D relationships of the anatomical structures are right there. Very powerful. So of course, David, I'm immediately thinking, what if you could do this? What if I could have a lifelike patient, people come into the room, see a lifelike person there that is going to go into a cardiac arrest, that is going to have anaphylaxis, that is going to have stab wound. Right away, you've got engagement. You have people's attention. They are going to immediately feel like they're in the hot seat. And that is what you want, just like the flight simulators for pilots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about how much the aviation industry puts into the flight simulators and that technology. Why do they do that? They know that the very best training puts people as close as possible to that seat that they're going to be in when they have to deal with a critical situation.
And what I love about the AR system we're seeing is that they leverage the built environment, that they take advantage of all the amazing things we do have in the real world and overlay the real world with augmented information.
I think it's a great question. It's funny because we've felt such rapid growth with immersive technology in general across VA, even if we look back at the last 6 months. I mean, it has truly been an avalanche effect. And I think maybe this is me being more cautious. I've thought, okay, we're going to hit a plateau at some point, and then that will be our foundation, and we'll grow from there. And that has not at all remotely happened. We continue to see rapid multiplication of sites that are interested, of clinicians and frontline staff who are interested. The veteran feedback is really what's driving this and has been very powerful. We're having more and more conversations with people who are intricately involved in policy and in procurement and in privacy and information security, things that really reflect that VA is beginning to think about immersive technology as a core fiber of who we are. And so I expect to see over the next 6 to 12 months, and definitely 5 to 10 years, that immersive technology will only grow across VA and really get to the point where it becomes, in some cases, standard of care. And that particularly as extended reality improves and mixed reality becomes more of a commonplace modality, as well as virtual and augmented reality.